In a significant gesture marking the 75th anniversary of diplomatic ties between China and India, President Xi Jinping has emphasized the need for strengthened cooperation between the two nations, describing their relationship as a dragon-elephant tango. This metaphor, referencing the symbolic animals of both countries, illustrates the intricate and powerful dynamics that characterize their bilateral relations. The exchange of congratulatory messages between Xi and Indian President Draupadi Murmu reflects a mutual commitment to enhance strategic trust and cooperation, especially as both nations strive to stabilize relations following tensions stemming from a 2020 border clash in the Himalayas. During a media briefing, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Gui Jiaquan highlighted that both China and India are ancient civilizations and significant players within the global south. He underscored the importance of bilateral cooperation, asserting that collaboration offers the most beneficial path forward for both countries. "We are moving through crucial phases of modernization, and partnership is essential," Gui stated, reinforcing the notion that the two nations can achieve more together than apart. The recent diplomatic exchanges come on the heels of a prior summit between Xi and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi held in Kazan, Russia, where both leaders laid the groundwork for future cooperation. Since then, high-level discussions, including boundary talks and meetings between special representatives, have aimed to normalize relations following the Ladakh standoff. In fact, both countries have taken concrete steps toward enhancing communication and cooperation across various sectors, including effective border management and the resumption of cross-border travel. As part of their anniversary celebrations, specific events are planned to further solidify their ties, though detailed arrangements have yet to be announced. The optimism surrounding these developments is palpable, especially as both nations navigate their roles in a rapidly changing global landscape. Gui reiterated the necessity of maintaining peace in border areas and enhancing dialogue on international matters, suggesting that the two countries are on a path toward a more stable and constructive relationship. Looking ahead, the dialogue between China and India is expected to deepen, with both nations poised to tackle pressing global challenges collaboratively. As Xi's metaphor of the dragon-elephant tango suggests, the interplay between these two great powers could yield significant benefits not only for their respective populations but also for the broader international community. The coming months will likely reveal how effectively they can harmonize their interests and work together on global platforms, setting a precedent for cooperation among developing nations. In an era marked by escalating geopolitical tensions, the dynamics between the United States and China are increasingly characterized by unpredictability and hostility. As the second Trump administration unfolds, the ramifications of its foreign policy decisions ripple across the Pacific, prompting a mixed response from China's government and its populace. Recent comments from Chinese officials reflect a blend of caution, readiness for confrontation, and strategic calculation as they navigate this complex landscape. On March 4, Lin Jian, spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, issued a stark warning, asserting, "If war is what the U.S. wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, we're ready to fight till the end." This statement followed President Trump's imposition of additional tariffs on Chinese imports, a move that has further strained the already fraught trade relationship. In retaliation, China responded with its own tariffs on American agricultural products, including a 15% levy on U.S. chicken and a 10% tariff on soybeans and pork. The backdrop to these tensions was further complicated by reports of the Pentagon preparing to brief Elon Musk on military strategies concerning a potential conflict with China. Although both Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth denied the claim, the mere suggestion of such discussions has added to the anxiety surrounding U.S. China relations. "We don't want to have a potential war with China," Trump stated, while simultaneously insisting that the U.S. military is well equipped should such a scenario arise. Amid this turbulent environment, Chinese President Xi Jinping's recent meeting with multinational CEOs highlighted a contrasting approach. Xi emphasized the need for stable and healthy U.S.-China relations, stating, "The essence of China-U.S. economic and trade relations is mutually beneficial and win-win." His remarks suggest a desire for dialogue and cooperation even as the geopolitical climate becomes increasingly hostile. Yanyang Cheng, a research scholar at Yale Law School's Paul Tsai China Center, offered insights into the Chinese leadership's perspective. She indicated that while the Chinese government anticipates a continued deterioration in U.S. China relations, it is also preparing for various scenarios, including heightened economic competition and geopolitical alliances. The Chinese leadership has a lot of experience dealing with potentially volatile leaders, she noted, highlighting their strategic approach to managing uncertainty. As Trump's policies evolve, the Chinese government is keenly aware of the implications for their domestic and foreign policy landscape. Cheng pointed out that the U.S.'s unilateral actions can create opportunities for China, particularly as traditional alliances fray under Trump's administration. However, these developments also generate significant volatility, which poses risks for Beijing. The Chinese leadership remains cautious, recognizing that domestic economic challenges could exacerbate the effects of external tensions. The unpredictability of the Trump administration, characterized by impulsive decisions and erratic behavior, has left Chinese officials wary of establishing a summit between Trump and Xi. Reports from recent diplomatic engagements indicate that Chinese experts are hesitant to schedule high-level meetings until they receive clearer signals from Washington regarding trade negotiations and policy direction. Wu Xinhua, a prominent Chinese academic, remarked, "The Chinese side believes the Trump administration has not really figured out what is the way to deal with China and make a deal." This sentiment underscores the need for a structured dialogue that can lead to a meaningful reset of relations. As the weeks unfold, the potential for a Trump-Xi summit hangs in the balance, with Chinese officials and experts advocating for a well-scripted encounter that addresses pressing issues. Yet recent trade decisions such as China halting imports of American beef signal that Beijing is not inclined to reward U.S. overtures without significant concessions in return. Looking ahead, analysts point to the necessity for both countries to navigate the choppy waters of their relationship with care. As geopolitical competition intensifies, the human dimension of policy decisions remains crucial. Chang emphasizes the long-term implications for Chinese students and professionals who may find their aspirations impacted by the shifting political tides. In conclusion, the trajectory of U.S.-China relations under the second Trump administration remains fraught with uncertainty. While both nations grapple with their respective domestic challenges, the potential for confrontation looms large. Future interactions will hinge on whether the Trump administration can adopt a coherent strategy that transcends volatility and fosters a more stable diplomatic environment. As the world watches, the stakes could not be higher for both economies and for the global order at large. In a rapidly evolving global economic landscape, China is navigating a complex web of challenges and opportunities as it seeks to redefine its role on the world stage. Recent developments indicate a dual focus on bolstering its domestic economy and fostering international relationships, particularly in light of increasing protectionism from the United States under former President Donald Trump. As China grapples with the repercussions of tariffs and strives for economic resilience, the private sector emerges as a crucial player in the nation's innovation-driven growth. President Xi Jinping recently convened a meeting with leaders from over 40 multinational corporations, including notable names like BMW and AstraZeneca, signaling a clear intent to reaffirm China's commitment to globalization. In this meeting, Xi emphasized the importance of maintaining open channels of communication with foreign businesses and pledged to improve market access, a move aimed at reversing the decline in foreign investment that has plagued China in recent years. Globalization is not going away, Xi asserted, urging corporate leaders to support Beijing's economic agenda at a time when signs of recovery are beginning to surface, with industrial production rising by 5.9% in early 2025 and retail sales increasing by 4% compared to the previous year. However, China's economic revival is hindered by a persistent real estate crisis and high levels of youth unemployment, issues that surfaced in 2021 and have since compounded local government debt. The challenge remains for Beijing to stimulate domestic consumption, which currently represents only 40% of the nation's GDP, substantially lower than the global average. In response, Premier Li Qiang has promised its special action plan aimed at boosting domestic consumption and has indicated that further stimulus packages will be considered if necessary. These efforts are part of a broader strategy to reach an ambitious GDP growth target of around 5% for 2025, reflecting the government's confidence in a gradual economic turnaround. Amid these economic strategies, China's innovation landscape is also transforming. The unveiling of DeepSeek, an advanced AI model developed domestically, marks a significant milestone in China's technological capabilities. This model, produced at a fraction of the cost of its counterparts like ChatGPT, has drawn international attention and prompted discussions about its implications for the global AI sector. As noted by analysts, this development represents a wake-up call for U.S. tech industries, forcing them to re-evaluate their strategies amidst growing competition from China. In a related context, Chinese entrepreneurs are increasingly taking center stage in driving innovation. The recent high-level symposium on the private economy, where she met prominent private sector leaders, highlighted the government's commitment to supporting private enterprises as vital contributors to economic growth. The private sector has already made strides in various industries, with companies like Huawei regaining their footing in the competitive smartphone market despite U.S. sanctions. This shift towards recognizing the role of private enterprises is critical as China seeks to enhance its technological prowess and address the pressing need for economic diversification. Simultaneously, geopolitical dynamics are shifting as nations like Bangladesh express a desire to strengthen economic ties with China. Bangladeshi Chief Advisor Mohammad Yunus recently urged Beijing to expand its economic influence into Bangladesh, pointing out the strategic opportunity presented by India's landlocked northeastern states. This call for collaboration underscores the potential for China to extend its economic reach in South Asia, particularly as Bangladesh secures significant investments from Chinese firms. As China grapples with these multifaceted challenges, the road ahead is fraught with complexity. The dual focus on revitalizing the domestic economy while fostering international relationships will be pivotal in shaping China's future economic landscape. The interplay between government policy, private sector innovation, and global economic trends will ultimately determine how effectively China can navigate the turbulent waters of international trade and domestic growth. As the nation continues to adapt and evolve, the coming years will be crucial in establishing its position as a global economic powerhouse amidst an era marked by uncertainty and competition. China's recent military exercises around Taiwan have escalated tensions in the region, marking a clear signal from Beijing amid ongoing political developments in Taipei. On April 1, 2025, China initiated extensive military drills involving warships and fighter jets, which the government characterized as a direct response to Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te's declaration that China is a foreign hostile force. This assertion was part of Lai's broader strategy to combat increasing Chinese influence and espionage within Taiwan. The Chinese military's maneuvers, reported by Senior Colonel Shuri, included approaches by land, naval, and air forces simulating the seizure of control over strategic maritime areas and conducting strikes on both sea and land targets. Xu Finglian, a spokesperson for the Chinese government's Taiwan Affairs Office, explicitly labeled these exercises as firm punishment for Lai's administration, which has been accused of promoting pro-independence sentiments. Taiwan's defense ministry reported a significant buildup of Chinese military resources near its shores, noting 71 sorties by military aircraft and 21 naval vessels surrounding the island, including the Chinese aircraft carrier Shandong. Although none crossed the 24 nautical mile boundary established around Taiwan, defense analysts such as Chi Chung from the Institute for National Defense and Security Research highlighted that such displays are designed to enhance psychological pressure on Taiwan and provoke potential confrontations. While the exercises were closely aligned with President Lai's recent remarks, military experts suggest that they also served a dual purpose: to send a message to the United States regarding its support for Taiwan amid ongoing tensions. Amanda Seo, an analyst from the Eurasia Group, noted that the drills aim to portray Lai as a provocateur to dissuade the Trump administration from maintaining robust support for Taiwan. particularly as U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was in Tokyo discussing military alliances and countering Chinese influence. These developments follow a backdrop of deteriorating Sino-American relations as indicated by recent tariffs imposed by the Trump administration on Chinese goods. Such economic pressures may shape China's military posture, with analysts suggesting that while Beijing seeks to project strength, it also desires to avoid exacerbating tensions that could lead to broader conflict. As Wen Tsung, a researcher at Taiwan, pointed out, China is keen to maintain a balance between demonstrating firmness and leaving room for diplomatic disengagement. In tandem with military activities, China's recent two sessions highlighted its ambitions for economic resilience and reform, aiming to bolster domestic stability in the face of global uncertainties. Premier Li Chang's government work report underscored the need for improved food and energy security, reflecting a recognition of vulnerabilities that could be exploited amid external pressures. Ultimately, the ongoing military exercises around Taiwan represent a calculated move by China to assert its influence and intimidate Taiwan's leadership, while simultaneously crafting a narrative aimed at U.S. policymakers. As the situation evolves, both regional and global observers will be closely monitoring these developments, with implications that could reverberate through international relations in the Indo-Pacific region. The coming months are likely to reveal whether these military displays will escalate or devolve into a more strategic dialogue amidst rising geopolitical tensions. In a significant diplomatic development, Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed his anticipation for an upcoming visit by Chinese President Xi Jinping scheduled for May 2025. This visit coincides with Russia's annual celebration of Victory Day, marking the Soviet Union's triumph in World War II. During a meeting with China's top diplomat Wang Yi in Moscow, Putin emphasized the importance of the visit, describing it as a moment to enhance bilateral relations and discuss cooperative efforts on various multilateral platforms. "It is going to be an official visit. He's going to be our main guest of honor," Putin stated, highlighting the rich and well-prepared program awaiting Xi. Wang Yi reciprocated by affirming that preparations for Xi's trip are in full swing, suggesting that this visit could provide fresh momentum to the already robust ties between the two nations. He reiterated that the cooperation between Russia and China is not aimed at any third parties and emphasized the importance of mutual respect and non-interference in their respective sovereign affairs. This dialogue comes at a time when regional tensions and shifting alliances are under scrutiny, particularly amid speculation regarding a potential thaw in U.S.-Russia relations that could affect the dynamics of Sino-Russian cooperation. The discussions between Putin and Wang reflect a broader commitment to strengthening the China-Russia partnership, particularly in light of recent geopolitical shifts. Analysts suggest that this visit not only signifies a moment of unity between the two countries but also serves as a strategic counterbalance to Western influences in the region. Wang's remarks underscore this sentiment, stating cooperation between Russia and China is never directed against any third parties. In the context of broader regional diplomacy, the exchange of congratulatory messages between Xi Jinping and Indian President Draupadi Murmu on April 1, 2025, marking the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations between China and India, further illustrates the complex web of international relations in Asia. Both leaders acknowledged the historical significance of their nations as ancient civilizations and major developing countries, expressing a desire to enhance mutual trust and cooperation. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Gui Jiaquan emphasized that the two nations are at a crucial juncture in their modernization efforts, portraying the metaphorical dragon and elephant dance as a pathway toward mutual success. Wu's comments reflect a concerted effort to recalibrate the relationship following years of tensions, particularly after the military standoff in eastern Ladakh. The recent high-level meetings, including discussions focused on border management and cross-border cooperation, signal a willingness from both sides to move beyond past conflicts. As both nations strive to deepen their ties, the upcoming commemorative events for the 75th anniversary may serve as pivotal opportunities to bolster strategic dialogue and cooperation. As the international landscape continues to evolve, The outcomes of these diplomatic endeavors will likely have lasting implications not only for China and Russia but also for the broader geopolitical climate in Asia. With the groundwork being laid for enhanced collaboration, both countries appear poised to navigate future challenges together, potentially reshaping regional dynamics in the process. The next few months will be critical in determining how these relationships evolve, particularly as external pressures and internal aspirations converge in an increasingly multipolar world.